Hey guys, thanks for joining us for this 119th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests on this episode include Thomas Waits. The actor has a new movie, 645, which will be available in limited theaters tomorrow. We'll also visit with actor Donal Logue. We'll be talking about his co-write with Danny Trejo on his autobiography. We'll also talk with singer, songwriter, actor, producer, director, all of those things, John Schneider. We'll talk about his new music plus Bo's Extravaganza going on the road. And we'll visit with country singer and songwriter Dariann Leigh. We'll talk about her latest music, her video for 10,000 Miles, upcoming dates, music, and so much more. If you would, please take the time to subscribe, comment, leave some feedback, check out the shop, and share with your friends. Now, why tell about us this so far in advance? Cookie-filled M&Ms are on the way, but won't hit shelves until next year. Now, they've got a crunchy cookie center that's covered in a hard candy shell, so like peanut M&Ms, but filled with baked cookie batter instead. Now, they're supposed to taste like those cookies you've had with M&Ms on top instead of chocolate chips, and they'll be available nationwide next March. Got great movie, depending on your genre of choice, I should say. A summer ending movie, a vacation movie, 645. We've got actor Thomas Waits with us. First off, Thomas, I appreciate you taking some time to talk about the new movie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Thomas, if folks haven't seen the trailers or the previews, tell our listeners just a little bit about what to expect from 645.
Well, we all remember what it was like during the pandemic, where every day seemed exactly the same because, we couldn't go out, we couldn't go anywhere. Most of us were, isolated. And I don't know about you, but I couldn't tell the weekend from the weekdays after a certain number of days being, Cuomo just shut down the state. He just slammed everything shut. So it was bizarre. I mean, the traffic in New York City, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like Los Angeles. It's just like a parking lot most of the time, getting from one end of town to the other. But there was no one around. It was a ghost town, and there was nothing to do. And so every day just bled into the next day. Well, I think Robert Dean Kline, the writer, and Craig Singer, the director, took that sort of concept of Groundhog Day, I guess, if you will, and veered it into the direction of thriller horror. And they come up with a very interesting and I think compelling story. And this is not just for me. I brought two friends with me to the premiere that are not actors or directors or even in the industry, and they loved it. They just thought that it was extremely entertaining and that they were, on the edge of their seats till the very end, that it's very taut and dramatic in the sense of, is this real or is this a dream? And so it begs the question, even my talking to you now, how do you know? Are you certain that we're not dreaming? I mean, can you be certain? Of course, the Buddhists believe that this whole deal is a dream. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. But I think they take that premise and they are quite innovative with it. And the actors in it are very good. And the cinematography and the editing is what blew my mind. The way that it's finally presented, I think, is quite... It's just the best way I can explain it is suspenseful, taut, and it just keeps you gripped on the edge of your seat. And then my character comes in, about halfway through the movie, and I have a small but I think rather significant role in it because the town's allegedly abandoned, except for me. Like I'm the bartender. I'm there with a few, which I can relate to. I'm there with a few barflies, and we interact with the main characters. But people really do seem to enjoy it. And the people that I was with, as I say, not cheerleaders, nor are they part of the industry in any way, shape, or form. One of them is a tax lawyer, that, like, if it's not good, he's not into it. He doesn't have time. He loved it.
Thomas, what would you say, how different was it going to the premiere and seeing folks around you, and how much different did the fans intake a movie than times you've seen before?
Well, you never can predict. You go to a movie sometimes that you're in and you're thinking like, wow, I'm going to be great in this, and this is going to be great. And then, halfway through it, you want to crawl under the seat and really wish you were someone else, or that you had taken that opportunity to become a plumber when you were 16. But sometimes you go to see, something that you're in and you're really quite proud. I'm quite proud of this. I really love the way that it is shot. I mean, cinematographically, they've really broken some ground, I feel. It's just very beautiful. Do you know the Jersey Shore at all?
I've never been there.
Oh, man, it is. I've been to beaches all over the world. I mean, Japan, the Philippines, England. I've been to beaches all over the world. The beach at the Jersey Shore is by far, I don't know why, the most superior beach I've ever been on. The water, the beaches, they're just beautiful. And the spot that they chose to shoot in, which is right below Asbury Park, where Bruce Springsteen is from, and it's right above Seaside Heights. So it's it's this little peaceful patch, a quaint, lazy, quiet town, and it's quite beautiful in terms of capturing that summer feel on the ocean. And the air is bracing and healthy. It's just in fact, I went swimming, and we were shooting in January, and I went after the first night of shooting, I went and jumped in the ocean. God, I felt like $1 million. I mean, it's lovely. It really is. It's so invigorating. But it's a good film. I'm really proud of my friend Craig Singer that made this film. I think it's his best film to date. He's a terrific guy to work with. He reminded me of working with John Carpenter, in the sense that, I don't know if you know anything about making movies, but, it's complete chaos. There's
right.
people, everywhere. There's hair, makeup, costumes, grips, gaffers, lighting people, extras, producers. All these people are crammed into this one little space, and the director has to somehow make an atmosphere in which you, as the actor, feel like creating, feel like, having fun. And he makes it fun. He has that magical touch of making you feel like, first of all, that he's really watching you. Like he's really giving you his attention. Like you're the most important person in the world. And I think when directors can do that, when they make you feel important, you relax, and then you can do your best work. And I believe Craig does that. And, I think it's really good. I think people are going to get their money's worth, and we're so fortunate to have Regal Cinemas, one of the top theater chains in the world. That's, I think, rather emblematic of how they feel the movie will do. So I think folks going to see it are going to, like I said, the people I brought with me, I don't take my own opinion because it's so hard for me to be objective, but the people that I brought with me were like, wow, this is a great movie. Can I meet the director? I got to ask him a few questions. I got to find out what this was and what that was. And Craig said, I'm not going to answer you. I'm just glad you decide for yourself what you think happened. I love that kind of stuff,
That's awesome. And again, the movie 6:45 available in theaters coming up tomorrow. And Thomas, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to talk about the film, and really looking forward to checking it out this weekend, my friend.
Okay. Have a good time. And thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate it.
Now, here's another one of those stats that's like, wow, people really are gross. Well, it is National Underwear Day, and a recent survey looked into how often we change our underwear. Spoiler alert, not everyone changes them every day. Only 68% of Americans say they usually wear a pair once and then wash them. For everyone else, well, it varies. 13% say twice, 6% said 3 to 5 times, 3% said 6 times or more without washing, and another 10% weren't sure or said they're not ready to answer. Now, 48% of Americans said they've never worn the same underwear more than once, and I'm guessing a lot of those people are liars. You know him as an actor, seen him on the big screen, the small screen, but did you know that he writes? Hey, we got a new book to talk about. Trejo, My Life of Crime, Redemption, and Hollywood. We've got Donal Logue on the line with us. And first off, Donal, appreciate you taking the time.
Man, thank you for taking the time with me and providing this platform to talk about the coolest thing I've ever kind of creatively had a thumbprint on, which is co-authoring Danny Trejo's memoir, Trejo, My Life of Crime, Redemption, and Hollywood.
Donal, you've known Danny, and what is the biggest surprising thing about Danny that just the average American doesn't realize?
I think it is that what he does on a daily basis to help other people, it's not a show, and his life really literally depends on it. That's, here's a guy that was facing the death penalty, and he made this promise to God. He was like, at the time, I'll help my fellow inmate every day. Then after that, I'll help my fellow human being, and you'll be with Danny. He's like, come on, let's go here, and it'll be a halfway house, or he'll pull over. Danny's got a rule for him and all of his friends that they have to have clean underwear and socks and T-shirts in the trunk of their cars. So if you see people who need them on the street, you hand them out. And he doesn't make a big fuss about it. He doesn't, but he does it to help himself. And in this way, I don't know, part of it might be trying to make amends for the person that he was so long ago. He's 77 years old now. He got out of prison in 1969. But Danny, and he jokes about it. He says, man, I'll ask God, am I out of hell? And God will say, almost, pretty close, And so, that he's just, I knew him incredibly well when we started this process, but as it turned out, I didn't until we got into it. And I think that's kind of why the critical reviews have been so positive. And what I was kind of hoping was taking maybe some of the literary world a little bit by surprise, that it's a little deeper and different than they anticipated in this kind of Hollywood memoir, because Danny didn't start this Hollywood stuff till he was 42. Mm-hmm. And he did it also, he and this guy who owns a methadone clinic in LA had mentioned to him, man, it might be cool if you did that stuff, because it could probably it could bring attention to our world of recovery. And I honestly think that's kind of why Danny does what he does. It's that he wants to be this beacon of change and hope, and that's kind of the broadest audience you can reach. But then it ended up that he was Machete, the first, romantic action studio lead in Hollywood history, and he was in his 60s. It's all crazy.
For you, what is it about the process of this book? How much different is it to sit down and do a project like this as opposed to the writing that you do on a normal basis?
What's amazing is there was this fact situation, and it kept changing because Danny would remember more, or he would get honest about something. But it's Danny's voice. But in a weird way, when you co-author a memoir, you also have to match their voice and try and get in sync with their thinking as much as possible. And so that was, I think, the trickiest part of it in terms of writing, was building that prose world around just what you had transcribed from talking with him. And it sounds strange, but it's a fascinating process to match voice. And I think we got it. The only way I could do it was just a ton of extra work, because Danny and I would work, and then I would read the book out loud to him and
see if it sounded cool, if there were things he had problems with. And, but it's his story. It's his life. I have to say this. He's the most remarkable person I've ever met. And I was just hoping the way this would have failed is if I would have failed in my job to try and, do his right. So that, sometimes there are these remarkable lives, and I know them, and they end up being kind of not great books, and that would have been a massive failure on my end.
For you, Donal, as you write a book like this, obviously you're looking to touch the reader as well as maybe affect their lives as well. As you're going through this process, I mean, Donal, how did you change, or what about the book changed you that you noticed?
Danny, it's 100%. You're completely right. You hit the nail on the head. First of all, like, there's a part in the book that I'll reveal. It's like Danny's in prison and he's going to these kind of sanctioned meetings that he's forced to go to, and there's some old guy who comes from outside of prison who's missing a leg and an arm, and he's in a wheelchair, and he says, Danny, why don't you try singing Zippity Doo-Dah every morning? And Danny's like, what are you talking about, fool, man? I'm in prison, and sure enough, the next morning, Danny started singing Zippity Doo-Dah and had to smile because it's so goofy. And he said it taught him the power of that kind of how you start your day. There are things happening in your life, but your attitude is something that you can control. And how you spin out of bed in a negative way, or if you take a moment and do something positive and think positively. And I know it sounds goofy, but it's completely true. And that's what being around Danny is always a reminder to not drop into a world of self-pity, to not feel like there are problems that you can't deal with or overcome. And, that's how I was close. Danny and I are close, not because of the book, but because he's this mentor in my life and friend. And so if I could help pay it back a little bit by putting all that time in and working on his book, the gift was mine to be able to spend that time with him, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's right. The book Trejo, My Life of Crime, Redemption, and Hollywood. Sorry about stepping on you there, Donal. Donal, I want to make sure and let our listeners know where they can find not only more info about the book, but brother, everything you got going social media wise as well, sir.
I'm not a super social media person. I guess I'm Donal Logue in Twitter and at Donal F. Logue on Instagram. But the book, Danny's book, can be found at Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com or SimonandSchuster.com, the publishing company, and anywhere books are sold. And it's pretty wide release. And I've got a few flicks coming out. I was in a reboot of Resident Evil that I think is going to be really cool, and a TV series called Departure that comes out in a few weeks. And I've stayed busy acting and certainly writing, and hopefully we'll, knock on wood, stay pretty busy for a long time. Not like Danny, though. No one could be like Danny.
That's good stuff. Well, Donal, it's always great to visit with you, sir. I appreciate you taking some time to be on, and hopefully...
Oh, man, thanks for having me.
Hopefully, brother, we can catch up again real soon.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Now, we're still a month and a half from fall, but here's something to look forward to, or not. Someone decided that pumpkin spice ramen is a thing people might want. Cup Noodles just announced that they're selling a new pumpkin spice flavor this fall. It'll be available nationwide at Walmart beginning in October. The reactions online are mixed so far. People who fit into that pumpkin ramen Venn diagram are amped about it. Everyone else is wondering where the ceiling is on these pumpkin spice products. Friend of the show, I consider him, John Schneider, and as always, he's busy. Got some stuff to talk about. John, first off, great to visit with you, my friend.
Hey, great to talk with you. Yeah, every year I think this time we're going to slow down a little bit. But no, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And, you know, especially with this latest nonsense, we've had to, you just got to figure out a way to think outside of not just the box, but everything. You've got to rethink everything. And one of the things that has happened as a result of the last year and a half is that we brought our Bose Extravaganza out on the road. And we were just in Wheatland, Missouri at the Lucas Oil Speedway, had a great time up there. And the week after next, we're going to be at Bulls Gap, Tennessee at the Volunteer Speedway. And we're bringing the band, we're bringing the movie, we're bringing a screen to show it on, we're bringing a traveling stunt show and a stunt class. We're bringing Cody McCarver from Confederate Railroad and Keith Burns from Trick Pony, and we're doing Cowboy Church. And on top of all of that, and this is the one I didn't see coming, my wife and I have taken up dirt track racing. So we race in the D-Mod open wheel modified class with the big boys. I mean, we're out there, rough tires and getting dirty, and it's just been great. I mean, I feel guilty. I have so much fun in my life. I feel like somebody out there must not be having any fun because I take.
That is a good way to look at it, John. You have been blessed. And what stirred up the spark for the dirt track racing as well?
Well, it was a friend of ours in Louisiana that had an extra dirt car and said, "Hey, if you ever want to race, just let me know." And I thought, well, he's not serious, so I'll say yes. I said yes, and next thing I knew, a couple of nights later, I was in the thick of it at Baton Rouge Speedway, and I just loved it. So my wife, who never wants to be outdone, she said, well, I want to race too. So we got her in a car, and she loved it too. So during the initial stages when everything was shut down last year, something that thrived was not only dirt tracks, but drive-in movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So we wound up taking our band and our movie, Stand On It, which is our tribute to Smokey and the Bandit. Folks, if you haven't seen that yet, I promise if you like cars, if you like Smokey and the Bandit and Dukes of Hazzard, you're going to love Stand On It. So get a hold of a copy today at johnschneiderstudios.com. But we brought the movie out, and then I did a couple laps in the dirt car, and then we realized, wait a minute, we can bring the movie to dirt tracks as well. So when we get to Bulls Gap, this is really the trifecta, because we've got our movie, we've got our music, and we've got dirt track racing. So it is a amazing thing that came out of this insanity. Because you know me, I think you don't know me well enough now to know that I don't sit around and wait for things to happen.
I've noticed that about you.
I'm like, okay, well, if there's no water and it's dusty, let's have dust races. I don't know. We will figure out a way to not only be entertained, but to entertain. And I am loving it from VIP night on Friday all the way to Cowboy Church on Sunday. I promise you, folks, Bose Extravaganza on the road is going to be the closest thing to your county fair that you went to when you were 6 years old that you're going to get. So I urge you to come out. And by the way, I want to thank, we've got great friends. I drove their shopping cart about 10 years ago. The folks at Food City have like a Chevy 350 powered shopping cart that I drove in Bristol, Tennessee about a decade ago, and now they are our sponsors for Bulls Gap and Volunteer Speedway. I want to thank the great folks at Food City also for keeping our great United States farmers working, because all the produce at Food City is fresh, it's local. We are big advocates for farmers markets and for fresh produce, eating healthy, eating well. So I want everybody to know that. Next time you need something, go on out to Food City. Next time you want to smile, that should be about 2 weekends from now. at Volunteer Speedway in Bulls Gap. Come meet me. I'll sign your lunchbox. We'll have a big time.
That's right. Now, John, you've seen the fans before pandemic. What little you saw of them during the pandemic, and now the show's as it's opening back up. What difference do you see in the fans over those different periods of time, if you would?
Well, I tell you, nobody liked to wear those masks.
Right.
So, and you know, I had asthma when I was a kid, and I learned something very early on that breathing has two parts: breathing in and breathing out. Mm-hmm. So, what I've noticed now, there's a relief. There's a relief in people as they can go outside, enjoy one another again, and have conversation. So, what's been happening at Bows on the Road is people are so excited about getting back out because, you know, it's still up in the air about events that are indoors.
Right.
In some places. Hopefully that's all good. That's on the one, and hopefully that's all going to go away. But, you know, people missed out on a lot of life last year. And I'm not a fan of allowing any governing body to tell me where and with whom I can peacefully assemble. So I'm glad that much of that nonsense is behind us. I'm looking forward to meeting people, and call me reckless, but I like to shake your hands and look you in the eye. It's just how I was. So we're going to do that again. If you want to come to Bo's Extravaganza, shake my hand, and by God, come do it. We kind of make fun of that in Stand On It. There's a deal I make with Tiny and Tim Needham, and we don't know whether to shake hands or bump elbows or fist bump or what in the world. So I've managed, and we made that movie last year. Mm-hmm. So I've managed to keep my sense of humor and help people keep their sense of humor. Make a little bit of fun of our present circumstance, and it's been a great time. So I urge folks, if you want to come out, have a wonderful time, watch your kids play with other kids, learn how to do a high fall. We've got a wonderful stunt team that teaches people how to fall into an airbag if you want to do that. Watch my wife and I race, and of course I've got to win that race. I have no thought that I'm going to win the other race, but I've got to win that race. Or I'll never hear the end of it.
That's right.
Come on out, have a good. I promise you, smiles and laughter are infectious. So come to Bo's Extravaganza on the Road. We'll be at Bulls Gap, 27th, 28th, 29th. VIP night is Friday the 27th. We'll be hanging out, having a great time, and watching Stand On It. On Saturday, we've got music. We've got the races on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we've got Cowboy Church, which you don't want to miss. It's fantastic. We'll have a local pastor. I don't know who that local pastor is right now, but we will have a local pastor. So you don't have to miss your Sunday service. You can come hang out with ours. I promise your pastor will understand. So come to Bo's Extravaganza on the Road. If you want to know how to get tickets, go to johnschneiderstudios.com or bosextravaganza.com, or just look it up. Or get my app. My app is simple. It's called John Schneider. It's free. It'll work on any phone. Or go to Food City. Food City has all the information as well. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. We're going to be playing our old music and our new music. I've got a song out there that's doing pretty darn well called Truck On, a tribute to our nation's truck drivers. So check that out as well. There's a lot to talk about, isn't there? Wow.
You're always busy, John. That's for sure.
It's harder to hit.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, John, always great to visit with you, sir. I know your schedule's packed as always. I appreciate you taking the time out, brother. Look forward to talking again real soon.
I look forward to talking to you as well. You be good. And folks, come on out and see us. I promise it's going to be fun. You take care.
Now, with so many people staring at screens and working from home, this makes sense. A new poll found our most stressed body part right now is our eyes. Over a quarter of Americans say their eyes feel tired or sore more often than any other part. And here are the most stressed parts of our body according to the poll. Number 1, eyes got 26% of the vote. Number 2, head, 15%. Staring at screens can also cause headaches. Number 3, shoulders, 14%. Number 4, legs, 13%. Sitting too much can make your legs hurt. Number 5, back, 11%. Number 6, feet, 4%. Now you'd expect that to be higher, but we're not walking much these days. Number 7, your core, 4%. Number 8, wrists, 3%. And number 9, arms, 3%. Our final guest on the show today, country singer, a songwriter, and friend of the show as well, Dariann Leigh. And first off, Dariann, always great to visit with you, my friend.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Dariann, this last year has been a little crazy for everybody. I know that you've stayed busy throughout. I know social media has helped out a lot with that. Songwriting, has the songwriting gone for you this last year? And is that part of the 10,000 Miles Let Me Go? Was that pre-pandemic or is that right in the middle?
That was actually pre-pandemic. It worked out in just the most crazy way that the world just let that happen. But it's been a lot of Zoom writes and a lot of writing over that, which has been cool because I think it's allowed a lot of people who wouldn't typically write together to write together because you're doing it remote. It's been really neat. It was a learning curve, I think, for many, including myself, doing the Zoom. But I was doing FaceTime writes long before, so it wasn't too bad for me. But I don't know, I kind of enjoyed them. Sometimes it'd be great to be in person, but the writing process has always been a fun thing that I love. And writing Let Me Go 10,000 Miles before pandemic was really cool because I got to do Let Me Go in the room with other artists. And then I actually wrote 10,000 Miles myself.
Now tell our listeners, if they haven't Googled and found out the story behind 10,000 Miles, where this one came from for you and how excited you are for the feedback that you've gotten from it as well.
Yeah, my boyfriend's in the United States Marine Corps, and at the time that I wrote this, he was deployed. And so it was one of those sprints of time where you don't get to hear a whole lot. You don't really know what's happening. I was in Nashville at CRS at the time and really kind of just wanting to say all the cool things that were happening and wanting to communicate and all that, like anybody would. And it just started to kind of get to me at a moment, and we were back in the hotel room. I was trying to decide songs to record. I was sent amazing songs from other writers and was having a really hard time deciding. And it kind of just came upon me that this was something that I needed to write. Like if I wanted to feel something so deeply, I can feel that with other people's songs, that maybe I should try sitting down and writing. And I grabbed my sat on the floor of my bathroom hotel room, and this was a 25-minute write, which doesn't happen very often, but right. I'm grateful that it did because I think it allows everything just to be so raw.
For you, when you get the people that are saying, oh, that story really hits home, I mean, how often are you getting those kind of responses to not only the song but the video as well?
It's been a lot recently, and I kind of thought that it may happen, but you never really know what's going to be the outcome of a song and what's going to be the outcome of any project that you do. And having people connect to it has always been my biggest goal with music, because I think it's just such a great language for everybody to feel something through, and knowing that people are connecting to it so openly and rawly, it's been really cool.
Dariann, this last year, everybody, it seems like, since they've had so much time to themselves, they've really been delving into their craft, and some of them are finding out some surprises about themselves. What surprises have you unleashed about Dariann?
I don't know. I spent a lot of time with myself in my 22 years of life, so I wasn't too crazy surprised.
Now, what's been the biggest relief now that things are opening up for you? What's the biggest relief in your life these days?
Oh, for me, I think it's just being able to get in front of the mic and play some music live again. It's been such a great thing to finally be back on stage. And I feel like people are truly ready just to listen to music and relax, because it's been so long since they've had that. And I just appreciate it wholeheartedly, because it's been a very, very busy summer, but I'm really grateful for it.
Now, as you go into the fall 2021 and then start, I mean, we're already looking forward to 2022. I know as far as goal setting and things like that, Dariann, how has the goal setting for 2022 had to be adjusted?
I think like everything, it's just, you have to kind of go in with a fine tooth comb and figure out what was things that, because the world, society, whatever you want to refer it to, is still struggling. It's just been kind of trying to figure out what's, I never want to say realistic, because I think that anything can be realistic in any frame of time, but just figuring out what can really fit the situation and the places that we're in. And for me, it hasn't really been a whole lot that's ended up being kind of removed or switched or anything like that. It's always just been, again, playing out and being able to open for awesome acts. And I mean, my ultimate lifetime dream is to sing at the Grand Ole Opry, and that one hasn't changed. So
keep the vision on that one. And the songwriting, how has the songwriting been? Is it harder for you to find the positives in the writing, or is it maybe a little easier to pull those out now? It's
interesting because I know a lot of other writers that can do really anything any day, and I can kind of do the same thing as well. But for me, I'm very triggered in writing based upon what I'm personally feeling, unless it's a write with somebody else and, you know, they describe all these things and we go ahead. I'm kind of someone that can go really any direction with the song. I am a sucker for a slow song, though. So if somebody wants to write like a really awesome ballad, I'm your girl. But if you want to write something fun and spunky, I'm your girl, too.
Now, what is the difference in inspiration for the different speed types or the different song types? How do you change your songwriting style, if you will?
I think, honestly, for me, it really goes a lot with what the melody is doing. You know, lyrics can be said in a different way, and I'm a melody person through and through. And so sometimes it's even the other writer saying, hey, I think we should speed this up. And so when we rethink the melody and we speed it up, it's really interesting because so many minds coming together and piecing together this work of art. So I'm always grateful for it all, because I think the whole writing process is just truly something that, unless you're writing, it's so hard to completely describe what it is. And so it's really cool to be able to sit in rooms and or Zooms, I guess, with other writers and write such awesome songs.
Now, what is your go-to? What is the part that is the easiest part of the write for you?
I'm kind of one of those, let's dig down and get pretty deep on things, because I just feel like the superficial has already been said. Let's dive a little bit deeper. And so for me, I feel like the bridge is always the place where you can get really deep and really just kind of show, whether it be someone's personal thing that they're going through or whatever it is, the topic. I feel like you can really, really let it go then. And so the bridge for me is always the thing where I'm like, don't worry, we got this.
Now, who are the songwriters that really inspire you? The ones that you see their writing style and you're like, oh, and it inspires you and motivates you to do better as well.
Oh, I think like everybody, Shane McAnally is incredible. Mm-hmm. There's so many different writers that I hear their music and I'm like, I just need to get myself there. I need to get to that point. But he's definitely one of the biggest ones for me.
Now, what was it like the first time getting back up on stage in front of a live audience? I mean, you'd gotten used to singing to the Zoom cameras and all of that. What was it like whenever you got to sing to live faces in front of you again?
I had to be completely honest with them and say that as much as I love the live stream, singing live in front of them and not having any glitches or anything was much more enjoyable.
You didn't have any pictures freezing or anything like that, right?
Right. And then you post it and it's just the most unawesome face you could ever make because they picked the freeze frame, you know?
That's cool. What we learned from 2020, right?
Right. Sometimes we make faces and Facebook or wherever it is going to freeze frame that face.
Now, Dariann, the singles Let Me Go, 10,000 Miles. I know you've got other music coming up real soon as well. What's the rest of 2021 music-wise for you?
Yeah, we are just kind of drilling into these two songs. We're working on getting it out. I'm going to be doing a Military Coming Home lyric video for 10,000 Miles. So I'll be taking in and accepting videos and photos of that. And we're working on more music in the fall. So 2022 is already pretty planned out, but we're still grinding on 2021, what's left of it.
That's right. Dariann, if folks want to find out not only more about the music, the social media, where to keep up with everything, tour dates and all that, where's the best place to keep up with everything?
Yes, you can follow me on all social media platforms at Dariann Leigh, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. My website, DariannLeigh.com, will also lead you to all of that, as well as all of my streaming platforms and all of the shows.
You make it easy on us, don't you?
I tried to.
Well, again, our friend Dariann Leigh, always great to visit with you. I love the new music. Looking forward to some more releases and hopefully catching up again real soon, my friend.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Well, thanks again for joining us for this 119th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, or anything else you'd like to know, you can hit me up on the contact page at gqwithcam.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at GQWithCam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, visit our merch store, where we've got hoodies, shirts, tumblers, mugs, stickers, and more. That's gqwithcam.com/shop. If you have a special guest idea, email me gqwithcam@gmail.com. Well, thanks again to our good friend Brandon Allen for coming up with our theme music. We're going to let him play us out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday.